Welcome back to
All the bad ideas.
She's practiced so long for that.
See, we need these so we can do our ASMR episode.
Oh my god. Hot take. The people who like, I don't know the acronym, ASMR, AMSR, ASMR, no thanks.
I don't like it
You
either.
probably, if you like ASMR, you probably like feet pics.
It's a great hot take.
I think that's...
I agree. Something about that just fits.
And if you like ASMR and you don't like feet pics, let's chat.
Probably.
And you're probably not telling the truth. All right, Burke, hot take is since the Olympics, they were just on. First, I want to talk about how much I respect Olympians. Like, they are heroes in my eyes, honestly. You are the best in the country, potentially even the world, depending on, what country you represent, right? Meaning you can citizenships, parents, blah, blah, blah. So, it's just an incredible feat. I've never been close to being an Olympian. At the same time, things like breakdancing have been added to the Olympics. And I know I'm not alone on this because this was a topic of conversation in the operating room all of last week, was every time I turn the Olympics on, curling is on. It was always on at 7 p.m. for some reason. And so I watched curling more than any other sport this Olympics. I probably watched, I hate to admit it, like 6 hours. Yeah. A lot. And the hot take is I do not think it's a sport whatsoever. And I went to account. I was like, all right, guys, question of the day, true or false, curling is a sport. 3 people said true. I instantly was like, I can't have in my head, I was like, I can't talk to you guys. There's nothing for me to say here. If you just think hardcore true, I disagree with you so firmly.
I wish I had a different opinion so we could argue, but I don't. I am fully on board. I watched probably 10 minutes in the training room last week, and it just pissed me off as I watched. I was like, why? Anybody can be good at this. And I sincerely mean that. I'm very sorry.
I agree. And I don't think something's a sport if anyone can be good at it. That's a really good way to define a sport. I don't know about you, but I'd also define a sport as like either technically skilled, like golf is an exception. And then besides that is like you're explosive, your sport requires explosiveness, which equals power, which equals speed. And I feel like when you just talk about explosive equals athleticism. And all of the sports that have explosiveness in it are sports. Football, basketball, volleyball, tennis, track.
Okay, other hot take on that. Where does cheerleading land for you?
It's not a sport.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
There's another side of cheerleading that's a step up, and we had it at Oregon. We were one of, I don't even know, 7 schools in the country to have it. It's called acrobatics and tumbling.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Tumbling is a sport.
It is crazy.
It's not. Cheerleading is an art. It's not a sport.
Yeah. Then what about this is going to be a really hot take, dance teams?
No, it's an art.
Yeah.
There's dance teams that combine tumbling, and when you do competitive dance with tumbling, that becomes a sport. But no, dance is an art.
It's true.
Dancing is an art form.
Now everyone's a dancer because you just go on a TikTok and so everyone's an athlete who's on TikTok?
Yeah.
For that, to support that argument? Yeah. Is NASCAR a sport?
This one was very hard for me.
I understand.
Honestly, partially because I really know nothing about it. And so like, just because I think that there's crazy G-forces at work in the car, like I understand that that's something you have to get used to. I don't know. And did you ever see the movie F1 with Brad Pitt? It was actually very good. That was the first time I ever saw it as a sport and as like a team sport, because the way that they had the 2 drivers, and I know nothing about NASCAR and if like how different F1 is from NASCAR, but like in F1, I think you have 2 drivers on the track at all times, or like that's the goal. Like as long as someone doesn't get blown off the course, and then you only have 1. But like the way that they did this movie, and I'm assuming lots of people use techniques like this, but Brad Pitt was like kind of a legend driver, and like fell off and got old. That's a very long story for another time, but that's not telling it very correctly. But anyway, he comes in and is like kind of the second driver behind this younger guy who is a good driver. So Brad Pitt becomes the defensive driver, and he takes people out and is like taking curves a certain way and like keeping people from being able to pass the other driver. And I was like, I can see how this is a team sport and strategically thinking through, things like that. But you're physically not doing a whole lot. It is a mental game.
Which then you can talk about, is chess a sport? Because to me that's like strategic and thinking.
Yeah.
And those 2 are similar. So then the only argument that people, like the best argument I've heard about NASCAR, and I, like you, I don't know a lot, so I couldn't tell you the facts about how many G forces are on someone, and like, so you have to keep your composure while you're under a lot of pressure physically and so literally, figuratively
Yeah.
and literally. And so like that's the only argument because not
Does that
everyone
just
could
make you a
probably,
scientist who goes in a spaceship and up in the air? Like
right?
those are the same to me. And someone who rides a roller coaster, there's G
When you're
forces
riding
at
a
work
roller
there
coaster, it's
too.
not the
Have
same
you ever gone
goal.
upside down on a roller coaster?
It's the
There are
worst.
massive G
I
forces
love
there.
roller coasters, and as soon as you put me on one that goes upside down, I'm not riding another roller coaster the rest of the day. I get so sick. My brother and I were at Six Flags. The last time I went to Six Flags was like 2015, I want to say, and we rode roller coasters all day long. 1 p.m. rolls around. We go on the big boy roller coaster that flips us upside down. And I literally walked up to my mom and I was like, I'm done. I do not interested in riding anything else. And I didn't.
I'm done.
Like, up to you guys. I'll stand here and watch, no problem. But I'm just letting you guys know I'm not kidding. I'm not riding another one. Haven't gone upside down since then.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Um.
Yeah,
So yeah,
NASCAR's
to
a
me,
hard one.
driving a car just makes me think that you're also riding a roller coaster. Like it's just the forces.
Yeah. Golf also to me is a tough one
It is.
because I know that it takes skill, but there's no explosiveness at all. And like how can you be 300 pounds and still be a good golfer? Like athleticism, just what I've grown up around is
And
in order to be explosive, you have to be a certain body type. But at the same time, there is a lot of skill. I bet you can kind of there's obviously way more physical activity than chess, but the strategy part and the technique part might be similar to chess, not the technique. I'm trying to think of what golf would be equated
okay,
to.
so I just Googled the definition of a sport. An organized competitive activity requiring physical effort, skill, and prowess, usually governed by a set of rules and engaged in for enjoyment, recreation, or to improve physical fitness.
Interesting. The two things that stood out to me was physical fitness and sorry, you
Requiring physical effort, skill,
yes,
and prowess.
physical effort and then prowess also stands out.
I still don't
Yeah.
think that changes my opinion about anything.
No, it supports the conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like to ask people what do they think the hardest sport in the world is, and I heard some stats, so I can't back these up, but I do think that they're true. The hardest thing in sport in the world, the moment is baseball. Like think about a round bat with a round ball. I think it's 90 feet from the home plate to the pitching mound. That's insane. And with a ball coming 100 miles an hour at you that can move and curve and change directions and to be able to connect, like that is the hardest thing
But only
technically to
that
do in sport.
moment of
That
baseball.
part,
Yeah.
yes. That when I think of hard, variable comes to mind, like randomness. The more random it is, the harder it is, no doubt. That's why golf for me, if there's a ball on the ground, there's just not a lot of randomness. Obviously, the clubs and things like that create randomness, but the most random sport, most variable sport in the world is beach volleyball. Apparently, it has the most amount of combinations. And so, technically, the hardest sport in the world is beach volleyball. Speaking from someone who has played beach volleyball, not only like for fun, but at a high level, I think that water polo is the hardest sport in the world by far.
I
Like,
agree with that.
and then second would probably be wrestling. This is a new one, you have to think about it, but like how much energy,
Yeah.
exertion it takes to wrestle and to pin someone else down. That's like, I think I would be exhausted in like under 10 seconds. So, and then boxing would probably be similar to that, but still, that takes the cake is water polo. You're swimming long distances, so water. Oh my gosh, that's insane. Then people are clawing at you and kicking you and trying to pull you under at the same time. I would drown.
Yeah. Well, I think rugby's up there with like in the sense that like it is so physical.
Yeah.
There's no pads and it just screams pain to me.
Yes.
So I just yeah.
I wonder what rugby players that are not from America think of football in America.
Yeah.
Like, do they make fun of them and call them like princesses and like, oh, you gotta have your pads?
Yeah, I think about it sometimes too. It's a really funny thought. I don't know. I don't know. It'd be funny to ask somebody. But I don't know any rugby players. So
That's funny. I don't know if I told you this. Leaving to Utah for 4 years and then coming back to California, and then walking every day outside. And for me, it's a non negotiable. Like, I'm a different person. I've already walked today for 30 minutes.
yeah.
And by the way, like I probably walked last year a total of 10 miles in the year combined, just
What's
in
that?
general. And
Okay.
I walk that much in like 3 to 4 days
Yeah, I
now.
believe that.
And so, because I just always want to spend time outside. I mean, one, my job allows me to, but second is living in California and like the neighborhood I live in is so beautiful and it's just non-negotiable. And everyone complains about California and all of these things, but it's like, do you like to be happy? So it's like California, Florida, maybe parts of Texas. I'm not
Yeah.
sure I can do Arizona now, but maybe. And then probably, I don't know how cold it gets in like North Carolina, South Carolina, but I feel like I could do one of those. And then maybe like a southern state that's along the beach.
Yeah.
And that's it. I always
Yeah, I
forget that
know.
those places have beaches,
I
you
know, I
know?
agree. Yeah. Yeah, good weather is a really great thing. It's like I can't say
You're like,
non-negotiable because I'm living it right now. It is a negotiable. Like it shouldn't be.
yeah, but it's worth it for your
Yeah.
season, you know,
Yeah.
especially when how many major league teams are there for volleyball? Okay, so
At the
then
moment.
you don't have a large selection.
Yeah. I know. And I'm like I keep reminding myself every time I go to weights before practice, I'm like, what would I be doing right now in February or, in March? At least seasons during the crappy months. And I get to play volleyball and have fun during the crappy months and then go have fun when it's nice out. Just if I forget that, the West Coast exists and pretend that
Right,
everyone
it
else is
doesn't.
like this.
I forgot to tell you that it doesn't. The West Coast doesn't. Yeah,
Yeah. You're
it's not
just
there
living in a
anymore.
simulation. It's not real.
But I do think about every other day the earthquake that's supposed to strike.
You guys?
So that's a real thing.
Yeah.
But I've had a little bit of calmness added to my life in that area because someone told me that because here's what I thought about this earthquake. I don't know what you think, but this thing, one, I was looking up some stats. It's a 72% chance that this bad boy is going to hit in the next 30 years. Like it's just a fact. And because it was supposed to happen like 50 years ago, the San Andreas fault. I
Mhm.
also this fear started when I was in college because it was circulating. You know how like things blow up randomly, right? What blew up my senior year was about this earthquake and that it was going to create a 500-mile long tsunami
Right.
from San Francisco to Seattle
There's a whole
and
movie about it
devastate.
called San Andreas, isn't it?
Yeah,
With The Rock.
I think right, and I have not seen it.
I haven't either.
I kind of don't want to. But then someone was like, that doesn't make any sense because if the San Andreas Fault runs through San Francisco slash other places, how is a tsunami going to hit this way? Wouldn't it be going out that way? But then also after the water retracts, it can come back. I don't know all the science, but I talked to someone recently who knows a lot about earthquakes and like a lot of things in life. And basically they said if you're in like a really tall building in a structure, that's what's really going to be tough. But like other than that, if you're not in a tall building at that time, you should be fine. I was like, I'm imagining it's just going to split the ground in half, probably like half-mile long, and everything in that crack is just going to the center of the earth. Like, this thing is so aggressive.
Yeah.
And they were talking about how there's different types of shifts in these tectonic plates and how it can be, I don't even know what to call this, like vertical shifts, horizontal shifts, but then one can like a slip fault that can go up, and apparently like we're on a fault that is just like the vertical horizontal shift. So whether all of that is true or not, it made me feel better going from thinking about it every other day to not really thinking about it at all, which is a good thing because one, I can't control it. But just speaking of Californian weather, it's like that's a big reason why I don't want to live in California is because I'm like in 30 years, like if you know it's gonna hit, why would you stay?
Yeah. Have you ever experienced an earthquake in real life?
Yeah, of course, but it hasn't been that serious. Like Arizona had earthquakes all the time. I've been woken up from earthquakes, but yeah, we probably feeling
I had never
earthquakes.
experienced one until I went to Taiwan.
Uh, was it
Yeah.
a big one or something?
I think at the epicenter, it was like there was like two big ones, and the epicenter was relatively close, but not enough that it affected me very much. Like it was like a scary high number. Isn't 7 or 8 like as high
Yes.
as it goes? I want to say it was like a 5 or 6 at the epicenter,
Yeah.
but it was in the water, and so we were far enough away that it wasn't one of them. I don't think anything damaged buildings while I was there, but I just remember I was in quarantine, sitting in a hotel, and I was actually like taking a video, and I was like, everything's moving. What's going on? I was like, this is an earthquake. I'm in an earthquake right now. And I was like, I've never. So yeah, nothing
I
crazy, but I
also
just
think
had
that
never.
buildings are built better over there. Like they're earthquake proof, and I don't
Yeah.
think they are here, which is wild. And I think it goes up to 10, but you were saying
Okay.
a 7 or an 8 is extremely
Right.
high.
Right.
Yeah. So even a 6 is pretty bad. But I think it's out of 10, but I could be wrong.
Okay. Yeah. I thought I knew that like 7 was causing damage.
Look it up. Highest. My last Google search was, you'll be happy to hear about this. I think it'd be a great topic of conversation every time I talk to you. Pull up your phone. What's your last Google search? Your last 5. Mine was masquerade dresses because I have this sales meeting for our division with J&J in San Diego, and there's an award ceremony every year. The theme is masquerade.
That's
My
awesome.
Phantom of the Opera dreams are coming true. But you don't know, and I know someone like you would be all over it, 100% in, but you don't know how in everyone else is going to be. So,
Doesn't matter. You can never be faulted for
yes,
going all into a theme. So go all in.
it's true. Okay, so I think it's out of 10 because it says the highest magnitude earthquake ever recorded was, let's hear a guess. I know you hate guessing.
This is deceiving because if it's a 10, it couldn't be like a 10.2, correct? It wouldn't. So like 9.8.
9.5.
Okay.
So proud of you.
So we round up to 10 and just assume why is a 9.5 the highest that it goes if we've never seen 10,
Because nothing's perfect in life, including earthquakes. They have their faults.
including scientists.
Including what? Exactly.
We can't judge the earthquakes. They're not talking to us. It's the scientists. They're putting them in a box.
The earthquakes are like, I'm a peacock, you gotta let me fly.
How
So
many
funny.
episodes do we use that phrase in?
Part 2. Having you guess, I love looking at your face when I say guess. You can tell them. I love it's like me and you just talking and no one's listening. Saying like, you can tell them like I'm some sort of psycho who just is imagining my friends. They tell them was when we first started hanging out. And all the time I'm just like, guess. And I have to put you on blast.
I
You're the
know.
worst guesser I've ever
I
had in my
know.
life. And I love guessing because I want to see how close it is and those astonishing numbers or facts or whatever. I love to guess them and then be like really wrong. And then I feel like it makes the magnitude of what you're talking about just so much greater. And so I love guessing. Then Berkeley took it the opposite way, that if it's like an extreme number, she would guess. If I'm looking for 50, she'd be like 1,000. I'm like, no, that's not even
My
realistic.
perception, when someone asks you to guess, it's like, guess, 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 like, guess quickly, just give me an answer. Whereas, like, it is fun if you were to be like, hold on, let me think
Yeah,
about this in like
I'll give
real
you
life
time.
terms and like
I've
take a
never
step
rushed
back.
you
You haven't, but in my brain, it's like, guess, give you an answer right now. What does
right
that
now.
mean? Then it just becomes the first number that comes to my mind,
Right,
whether
I
it's
can tell.
realistic in any way.
Perspective is reality. That is a fact. So my perspective is I'm like, Berkeley, guess how many? Just very calmly. Berkeley takes this Casey going, Berkeley, guess how many right now?
Yeah,
So
I
good.
need everything done.
I can't snap right now because I sliced my, can you see my finger?
No, but I also have a really bright light in my eyeballs, so it's hard to see the
Okay.
things.
The like top of my fingertip is sliced open because yesterday I was putting hair oil. I took it out. I was on a roll dropping things yesterday. I drop a lot of things every day, but I dropped like
Yeah.
5 things in a row. And one was a glass bottle, and that was super unfortunate.
Ooh.
That was completely new and filled with hair oil. Thankfully, it wasn't that much. But, and so I'm like cleaning it up and I'm being very delicate. And as I'm cleaning up this oil, there's just blood everywhere. And I'm like, I
Why?
did not feel that because I got my hands cut on the
No, I
glass
know, but you're
bottle.
just like,
Oh,
why is
yeah,
there
yeah, yeah,
blood?
exactly. And I was like, and then part of my finger was I'm like, that didn't hurt at all. Why isn't that so interesting? Like when we get a splinter, it's so painful, like something so tiny, but then like glass can just slice open your hand and you won't even know about it most of the time.
Yeah.
Explain that.
I think you're a unique case. I don't know. You have weird senses, to be honest.
I know. Like that hurts so bad. And you were like,
Yeah, your
why?
perception of pain is quite
And
you're
like something that should hurt so bad. You know who? I just realized something. They say that dogs are like their owners. Steel is the exact same way. So here's an example. This is so funny. I don't know if you know this about him. You're accidentally backing up or something and he's behind you and you step on his paw and you can barely feel it barefoot. You could barely feel his paw underneath your foot. And he's and like starts like screaming, which reminds me of a story when he was a puppy. He like made a cut and turned really fast when we were like messing around. And he started screaming so loud, it was echoing off of the neighborhood houses for like 2 minutes. And he was like 10 weeks old. I
Yeah.
could not believe out of a little nugget that was so big, so tiny,
Yeah.
that he could create a noise that was echoing off the neighborhood. And he was limp, like on the ground, and just like being like it was his paw, and I'm like touching it, and he's like going crazy. 5 minutes later, he's sprinting around. I'm like, I knew from that moment, I'm like, you're gonna be an interesting character. But anyway, you barely touch him, and he yelps. Or he'll do because he can jump really high and he'll land and face plant and like have a really not smooth landing or hit his head like oh into the sliding glass door like full speed, not a peep.
Because it's
It's
self-inflicted.
like I think that's the answer
Mhm.
to just solved it.
Yeah.
Most actually, wow, I'm gonna think about this for a while.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
That reminds me of I love one of my favorite things in life is when you have an unlocking, a realization that you've been doing your whole life that you never noticed. Like that was incredible, Burke. That
Yeah.
was A plus. And someone recently gave me an unlocking too, because I was talking about how I know that my heart is nice, but I don't come across as nice because, and I've always realized it, I think it's my tone of voice that I'm just really monotone because I don't want to put the energy into making my voice go like finish like this and just talk over up here because I just got a headache. Like it's just way too much energy to put into it. So I'm just gonna, this is where I feel comfortable. I'm just gonna talk down here. And someone was like, I don't know if it's so much tone of voice and that you don't have inflections. It's more so how you finish your sentences. It's on the way down instead of most people, like when they finish their sentences, it's up here.
Hmm.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, that is true. And then I was like, I still don't have the energy to finish high. Like, I don't care to do that. But they were like, you sound a lot more confident actually when you talk because instead of being like, oh, the answer's 47, it's like the answer's 47. It's
Hmm.
way more confident in how you finish sentences. And I was like, maybe that's why people take me aggressively because I always just sound confident and they take it as abrasive because I finish down. And I thought about that for like a week.
Yeah.
Have you had
I
any
love that.
realizations like that?
I'm sure I have, but none that are like in my mind. I'd have to get back to you and like
Yeah.
see if one came up this week while I like thought about it.